All right, hello amazing students. Please start by writing your name at the top right corner. We're going to be going over the equal values method, which we like to use for short, the EVM, which is a non-graphing method to find the point of what? Let's take our notes here so we can prepare for our quiz and upcoming tests. So the equal values method is a non-graphing method to find the point of intersection. And what do I mean when I say point? The point is going to be a coordinate x comma y. And that is a solution to a system of equations. Now, of course, you know that we can have two lines. Where do they cross? You can graph them. Do you want to graph them? Some people say, let me graph them. And that's fine, you can graph them. But this method shows you a way to do it without graphing, to find it without graphing. So what do? Start with two equations that are in the form y equals mx plus b. So now ask yourself, are these two equations in the form mx plus b? You have a number, then an x, then another number. Yes. In this case, we have a number, then the letter x, then another number, but the number in front of x. What's the number in front of x? Right. The number in front of x here is a 1, but we don't need to write 1 because there's no need. Okay? Let's follow these steps, and then what you're going to do is you're going to flip this paper over and practice 4 more problems. But here we go. Let's start with the main idea here. Step 1. You can call this step 1. Take the two expressions that equal y and set them equal to each other. Then solve this new equation to find x. Now here we go. Do you agree? Y equals y? Is the letter y always equal to the letter y? Ask yourself that. Is it true? Is y always equal to y? Yes. But that's not the equation we need to set equal to each other. We need to say whatever y is, we're going to go ahead and put that equal to the other y. Since they're both equal, they're both y, you can actually set those two expressions equal to each other. And that's what it's asking you to do. Take the two expressions and set them equal to each other. Now what do we do next? We need to solve and find out what x is. So how do we do that? Notice the y value is gone. We don't have any y anymore. It's just going to be letter x. So how do we get x by itself? All right, let's go ahead and do that. Ask yourself, do you want x to be positive or negative? Because if I move this x to the left side, it will become what? Negative. If I move this x to the right side, though, what would happen? It'll become positive. So that's a great thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with these types of equations. Now, I'm going to do 2 steps at once. So I'm going to go ahead and also add 1 to the left side. Since I want all of my x's on one side and all of my numbers on the other, I can go ahead and do 2 steps at once. Okay, what does that give us? 6 equals, x plus 2x is 3x. Now let's just go ahead and finish this. If I do my next step, which is to get rid of the 3, we divide by 3. What do we get? 6 divided by 3 is, use a calculator if you can. In this case, the numbers are pretty small, so we're going to get the answer of x equals 2. I'm going to circle that answer. Some people on their test will decide to stop, and you can't stop because we don't have a coordinate yet. We only have the x coordinates, the x part of the coordinate. We also need the y. So, what are we going to do? Let's move on. Once you know the x coordinate of the point of intersection, substitute your solution for x into either original equation to find y. Now you ask yourself, which of these two equations might be easier to put the number 2 into? Yeah, either of those two original equations, which one looks easier? Let's go ahead and say There's definitely one that's clearly the go-to one here. It's going to be this one. So that's the easier equation. Okay, here we go. So we take this equation and we put the number 2 in. Okay? Any questions so far? We chose the easier equation, which was this. Clearly it's this one. It's a little easier there. So we take that equation and we put the number 2 in for x. 2 minus 1, that's going to be 1. Okay, very good. So now we hopefully have an answer. The x value is 2 and the y value is 1. This should be our answer, but what does it say here next? The next thing that we do want to do, it's optional but definitely recommended, is to check your solution by putting it into both equations. So far all we used was the easier equation and it worked out, I hope. But now you're going to go ahead and see the other equation, which was negative 2x plus 5. And this is going to be a way to check your work. Now this is huge because this means if I get different answers, that means I either made a mistake over here, which do you think we made a mistake over here? Probably not. But if I didn't make a mistake here, then I might have made a mistake over here. So it's a great way to check your work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the number 2 into this equation as well. Write this down. Okay, instead of writing x, we're going to write the number. What was x? What was x? 2. Instead of writing the number, the letter x, we're going to write the number 2 in parentheses. Okay, that gives us negative 2 times 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And negative 4 plus 5 happens to be 1. So we can put a giant check mark right here that it works out. Did we get the same answer as before? The answer is yes. So now this is the most important part. How do you write your answer? Are you saying, Mr. Maynard, we have 2 answers? You have an x answer and a y answer? No. I'm saying you have a coordinate where 2 of these equations cross. That is your answer. That's your coordinates. So if we had a graph, that would be where the 2 lines intersect. And that is our solution. Now you tell me, would you rather graph these 2 equations and find out where they cross? Or would you rather set your equations equal to each other to solve this way? This is called the equal values method, EVM for short, and that is standard 6A. So 6A being on our quiz and our test, you're going to need to practice. Go ahead and take some time to practice these 4 problems, and let's see if we can get the same solutions. Remember, always state your coordinates, your answers, as a coordinate. So don't only solve for x. Right? Don't only just set these 2 equations equal to each other and solve for x. You know, you're going to want to also solve for the y value. So take some time, solve these, and we're going to check our answers. All right, checking our answers. Are we ready to check our answers? Let's see. Our answer for number 1, 5, negative 2. Did you get it right? I hope so. If you did, nicely done. For number 2, 5, 3. Did you get that one right? If you did, nicely done. If you didn't, make sure to find out where you made the mistakes. Okay. Number 3, 2, negative 6. If you got that one right, nicely done. And the biggest problem on our page is number 4. Number 4 is 50, 12. If you got that one right, nicely done as well. Please remember, When your teachers give you problems, please practice all of them. Why? Because of this. Sometimes your equations will have no solution, or even infinitely many solutions. That means practice every single problem that your teacher gives you, because sometimes you're going to get answers that you're not going to understand. And practicing is the way to go. So I hope that you found this worksheet useful. And let's move on to our next activity. Good luck on this. If you have any questions, please ask your teacher, ask for help. And let's keep going.